All right, let's jump right into a question that honestly trips up just about everyone, from first-year students to seasoned researchers. What is the real difference between a method and a methodology? And to get to the bottom of it, we're going to be guided by something pretty unique, a poem actually, from Professor Dr. Mon Prasad Wagel.
So let's get right down to it. This is the big question. You've heard these words thrown around, probably used like they mean the same thing. But are they? Is methodology just a fancier way to say method? The short answer is a big no, and figuring out why is absolutely crucial for doing any kind of serious, thoughtful work.
The poem we're using as our guide puts it perfectly. This first line basically says, hey, the answer is right there in the words themselves. They signal that there's a real difference. It hints that one is all about the how you do something, and the other is about the why you're doing it that way. So let's start by unpacking that first part, the how, the method.
Okay, so first up, the method. The best way to think about this is as your practical, hands-on toolkit. It's your game plan, your step-by-step guide for getting from point A, your question, to point B, your answer.
A method is all about the how. Simple as that. It's the various specific procedures you're going to use, the exact tools you'll have in your hands, the techniques you're going to follow. If I asked you about your method, I'd want to know the concrete, practical steps you're taking to get your data and figure out what it means.
So what are we talking about when we say method? Well, it's all the nitty-gritty details. It's your research design, are you running an experiment, sending out a survey, doing a deep dive case study? It's who you're studying, your participants, where you're doing the research, the actual tools you're going to use, like a specific questionnaire or some piece of lab gear, and of course, the step-by-step process for how you'll collect your data and then how you'll analyze it. It's literally the blueprint for your project.
And right there, that leads us to a much bigger, much deeper question. It's one thing to lay out how you're going to do something, but it's another thing entirely to explain why. Why this specific approach? Why these tools and not others? Why these people? That justification, that's where we make the leap from method to methodology.
So, this brings us to methodology. Now, if the method is your toolkit, the methodology is the master philosophy. It's the grand strategy that explains why you chose those particular tools to begin with.
Methodology is the big why. It's the high-level theoretical brain of your entire operation. It isn't just a to-do list, it's the powerful, well-reasoned argument for why your chosen steps are the absolute best way to tackle your research question.
See, a methodology is so much more than just a process. It digs deep into the philosophy of it all, your ideas about what's real and how we can even know things. What academics call ontology and epistemology. It also covers your ethics, your values, and the high standards you're setting to make sure your work is solid. It's the entire intellectual scaffolding that holds your project up.
Okay, so we've got the how, that's the method, and we've got the why, that's the methodology. Now let's put them together and really see how they're connected, because this is where it all clicks.
Let's look at this side by side. On one hand, method is the tactical stuff, the tools, the process, the specific steps you take. But over on the other side, methodology is the big picture strategy, the philosophy, the rationale, the justification for everything. You literally can't have a solid project without both working together. Your steps need a strategy, and your strategy needs steps to actually come to life.
And this brings us to what might be the most powerful line in the entire poem. Method is a part, whereas methodology is a whole. Just let that sink in for a second. It's so simple but so profound. What it's saying is that your method, it's just one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle. It's a single component inside this vast, overarching system of thought.
Here's a great way to picture it. Think of a big, strong tree. The methods are everything you can see above ground, the branches, the leaves. They're the visible actions you take, like conducting an interview or analyzing a dataset. But the methodology? That's the entire root system, buried deep underground. You can't see it, but it's the hidden foundation that anchors the whole tree and gives it life, purpose, and direction. Without the roots, the branches are meaningless.
So, what's the big takeaway here? What does all this mean for you, and how can you actually put this knowledge to work? Let's boil it all down.
It really comes down to two levels of thinking. Level one is your method. You have to ask, okay, what are the exact, specific steps I'm taking? But then, and this is the part that really matters, you have to pick it up to level two, the methodology,
and ask, why are these the absolute best steps? What bigger principles or theories justify this approach over all the other options? Any truly great project can answer both the how and the why with total confidence.
And so, that leaves us with one last question to think about. In your own work, and this could be anything, a research paper, a business plan, any complex project, are you just getting stuck in the weeds, only thinking about the how, or are you also stepping back to explore the why? Because that difference, that's what separates just getting something done from doing it with real purpose, rigor, and impact.